Alright, a very good morning, Twitch fans. Captain Nabs here with you once again. And I am excited because we are finally up to the last leg of my first schedule here in a pilot's life. That's right, it's been, I can't believe how long it's taken to get 10 legs done, but it's been 10 legs now. And we are now up to the final leg here. As you can see, Boston back to Toronto. We did the Toronto to Boston during the FNO the other last week or the week before. And we got one last leg here to do. I'm excited to get this one done, see what the new schedule will bring me. I'll consider changing jobs, but I'll probably stick with the Dash 8 for at least one more cycle, see if I can get myself at least a little bit of a promotion going on in this company. See what else. I like the I like some of the destinations and the routes. These are sceneries that I know and love, and I'm going to try to continue to fly them. I don't want it to get too boring, but I'd like to continue. So, anyways, stay tuned to the end of the stream, the end of the video, because I will generate a new schedule at the end of this stream, and I'm pretty excited about it. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get going on this flight. So again, today's flight is Boston, Logan Airport, all the way back to Toronto. It's going to be about a 2-hour flight in total, hopefully about an hour and a half in the air, give or take. Hour 45 in the air. So without further ado, as always, let's get it going here, guys. Into the flight deck. And let's get this show on the road here. So as you can see, the airplane is already somewhat powered up from our last flight. I basically reloaded it. It was nighttime when we flew, and I'm kind of a bit disappointed that there's not going to probably be too much ATC online today, but at the end of the day, I want to do another daytime flight, and I think that this is probably going to be one of the last chances I get to stream before the holidays are over. So I definitely wanted to have that chance. So give me 1 second. I just realized there's something I've got to just double check on here. And there we go. And for those of you that notice it now, my motion's a little smoother. I always forget to turn track IR back into P3D mode. It defaults to a very sensitive mode, and I don't like it. I like to be a little bit less sensitive. So, without further ado, like I said, we're gonna get this flight going. First things first. Let's go ahead and request some catering. We probably don't even need catering really on a turn, but we've requested it now. We're gonna request refueling. And of course, we're going to request boarding. So we can go ahead and get this underway. I'm just going to make sure the emergency lights are armed, but it looks like everything is right where we... Everything is right about where we left it here. Hold on a second here. Just pulling up my flight plan. We're going to be loading 66 passengers. All right. Yeah. So we're starting off right where we left off, but as I said, I wanted to do a daytime flight again. The night flying was fun, and it was nice to have the ATC, but boy, it was dark, and in the streams you guys didn't see very much. So let's get this going here. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out if I can, and it's still in a very good location. Perfect. So we're going to go over here, and we're just going to 99 the whole flight plan. Put in 99, and there we go. We got nothing. Now we can start right from scratch. KBOS. All the way back to CYYZ. Not a terribly complicated flight plan. We're going to be using an RNAV departure here out of Boston. Depart. And I guess a quick weather check's in order. What are we doing here in Boston today? It looks like it's a rainy day.
Thank you.
Just looking over at my other screen where I got my sim brief. No, excuse me, not my sim brief, my V-Pilot. And why? There we go. Boston weather. Now, why is Active Sky making it rain? For some reason, if it ever loses internet connection, it switches off live weather and it never switches back automatically. So you gotta always check for that. It should stop raining here momentarily. Winds are 140 at 6. So if anything, they might be using the 15s or the 22s. I'm going to go with probably the 22s as a preferred configuration if the wind is out of the southeast. It's not very strong, so we're going to go ahead with 22 right for departure. I've got the Highland 5 departure here. Let me just double check. Give me 1 second here because I want to double check that it is not How do I... There we go. Let's see here. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. Just getting through this here. All right. I want to check and just make sure that the SID that I've planned is not a jet-only SID. So give me 1 second. I'm just dialing it up here to see what it says. For turbojets only. Yeah, the original SID that I had planned was a turbojet only. So we're going to go back to the Logan 2 departure off of runway 22 right, and then that's basically just to maintain runway heading. We'll get vectors around to the first fix is going to be Highland. Nope. Thinking like a jet driver now. All right, we got Highland, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause my track IR for a minute here while I put in this whole flight plan here. Okay, so Highland. We go direct to Cambridge. And then we do an airway list. I have to open exit 4. Hold on 1 second. Q822 to, I'm just going to finish this really quickly. I believe it's all the way to Gons. And then Wozy. I probably should open that door quickly because otherwise the fuel truck will never show up. Wozy. Alright, yeah, let's do this. Let's open up that door. Service door. The catering truck is probably here. Yep, the catering trucks are here. For some reason, Southwest is catering us today, but that's okay. Alright, back to the FMS here. Alright, the only thing we had left to do is actually put in our arrival in Toronto. So the guesstimate by SimBrief is that we're going to land 15 left. That's probably never going to happen, so let's hit the METAR here. Winds 160 at 12, so it's probably a 2-4 right arrival. So let's do that. 2-4 right for arrival. We're going to do the, not the Ling, but it's the Verco 9 arrival. We're going to do the 2-4 right transition. That's probably going to get us a few waypoints missing, and we're going to recheck it here in a second here. So after Wozy, I believe the only thing we're missing there is Easton. If I pull up my Boston chart really quick here, or not my Boston chart, my Toronto chart. And if I can find the Verco 6 arrival. There it is. Pull this over for you guys to see. The only thing that we're missing in here, don't go full screen, Wozy, Easton, Ling. And then we've got Youth, Bimpo, Verco, Mayrod, Dekni, yeah, Davno, Dunal. Yeah, that's all in there. The only thing missing is I gotta put an Easton in here. And then we can delete the no link. And then we're good. We got some altitude restrictions in there. Those are good. The other thing we're, of course, going to need to do is the fuel. Waiting for me to close exit 4. Okay, we'll close it. I can't even close it. I wonder if I can do it. The keyboard. There we go. We got the service doors to close the keyboard. There they go. Now the fuel truck should be able to show up. Now that the catering is done. And where was I here? Okay, we were doing fuel. Sorry, guys. Alright, so back to the fuel page. Quickly go to my SimBrief flight plan. As always, guys, if you've never used SimBrief, give it a try. It is hands down one of the best things you can do. It is such a well laid out software, so simple to use, and yet the flight plans it generates are practically indistinguishable from the real thing. 1345 for our final reserve. I've got 0 extra. That should stay at 0. total reserves of 2,600. And yeah, I guess that's right. Wow, we need a lot of fuel for this trip. I haven't decided exactly how much we're going to load here yet, but we're going to probably round it up to 8,300. That's a lot. Because our alternate is London, it's a little farther away. We got a bit of a headwind. 15 minutes contingency. That shouldn't be that high. You know what? That contingency should only be 5%. So that's where I think we're also getting a lot of extra fuel here. So let's go ahead and say we don't need that much. We're gonna probably aim for about 8,000 here when all is said and done. And of course we need a ZFW. Fuel truck hasn't arrived yet, but we're gonna go ahead and bump in all the weights now. So we were looking at 66 passengers on this leg, so we'll just bump one person out of the D zone. And we're gonna say 8,000 pounds. We're gonna need about 4,400 just to get there. And that should give us a ZFW of 54,577, and we're gonna go ahead and send that to the flight sim as well. So 54,577. 54,577. That gives us a gross weight of 62.5 at takeoff. Page 2, don't forget to put in your ETA local time zone is -5 here in the Eastern time zone. Alright, and then we're going to just cross-fill all this stuff to the second MCDU while we're down here. Make it easy. And I think that's it. Alright, so the FMS is all set up. The message is just current leg extended. Yes, because it's not sequencing properly, so we're going to go ahead and go fix that up in a second here. I am totally in the wrong spot, aren't I, here? There we go, that's what I'm looking for. The FMS was the last page, not the first page. Okay, so we can go ahead and just have a quick look at this. These waypoints on the second FMS don't seem to auto-fill very well, which is fine. We're just going to go ahead and on here we're going to do nav, and we're going to say from KBOS. And now it's going to... That should have done the job. Looks like that sequence, it matches FMS number 1 now. And that's it. The FMS prep is done. Let's go ahead and do a quick little look around the flight deck and make sure everything is on. So, starting with the batteries. Everything's got to come back on. Everything else is on. Ice protection's all off. I've got the windshield heat on. It's fine. It'll come on when the AC power comes on. It's not a big deal right now. Engine valves are green. The APU valves are white. We've done the test on the previous flag. We probably don't need overhead lighting. It's daytime now, so we can go ahead and kill the overhead lighting. We can even kill this dome light here. Not going to use the APU, although it's probably pretty chilly in here right now. Let's see here. Don't need the logo light for daytime either, just the position light. Fueling. We'll say fueling's done. I'll leave that on for now. Test the lights here. Everything is on, top and bottom. Yep. And all the caution warning lights, there's no blanks in that panel. Alright, make sure this is on bright. There we go. It's daytime. We definitely need it on bright so we can see it. The recirc fan's off. The recirc fan's on. Bleeds are off. AC generators are off. That's all good up there. These just need to be reset. Alright, and we're ready to come in and have a quick look at the PFD here. Let's go ahead and put in some speeds. Actually, give me 1 second. You know what I don't have in front of me is my Dash 8 paperwork. Got the A320 paperwork in front of me. Let's get rid of that. I have way too much paperwork when it comes down to this. I have different folders for every aircraft type with checklists and prep guides in them just to be organized. Otherwise, this desk would be a mass of paper. Okay, so 60,000. What did we say? 63,000 pound speeds. Oh, sorry guys. The only trouble with track IR is when you sometimes unpause it, you end up in very odd places. Okay, 62.5. So we're going to use 63,000 pound numbers for takeoff. I got my takeoff and landing data card here. Boston, again, long runways. So we're going to go ahead with flap 5 takeoff. I think all I've done ever is flap 5 takeoffs. Alright, so 135. 135. 135. Sounds like the field truck or the baggage truck arrived. You can hear it just beeping quietly in the background there outside. 143. And finally 156. There we go. And we're basically sea level of Boston. We're under 100 feet, so I'm just going to go ahead and set the flap retraction altitude on the MDA here to 1100, 1,000 feet above the ground. Round it up just to make it easier on me. There we go, 1100. And I'll have to check the departure for the altitude. I'm not 100% certain that that's the right altitude. Runway 22's, it's either, I think it's 215 is the inbound course. Again, I'm going to check this against the charts in a minute here. I'm just sort of doing the preliminary prep work, make sure we're more or less ready. We're going to press the go around button. Nope, didn't. Try that. There we go. We got go around, we got wings level, so we got to do heading and alt cell. There we go. And the altimeter in Boston is right now 3051. Wow. Alright, so we got to get this up there. Normally, if you're on a turn, you wouldn't have to make that big of an adjustment on the altimeter, but the turn started days ago. Alright, boarding is completed, it says. Good. I guess that was the baggage truck that showed up. Reset that. I'm not going to close exit 1 yet because we're still apparently waiting for the fuel truck, I believe. We also need to make sure the yaw damper's on. Okay, we're on FMS 1. FMS 2, the sources are good, the anti-skid is on. And yeah, here comes the fuel truck, I think, because I just got a warning about refueling. And there we go. Let's reset that trim into the takeoff range. You can hear the warning when the trim wheel is being pressed too long, and you can even see the warning there at push. It shows you where the button. It highlights the button to push if the trim's been held for more than about, I forget if it's 3 or 5 seconds in this aircraft. I'd have to look it up to know for sure. Everything looks good. We got the discs sail off. The flaps are up. I guess we're going to need Unicom on our radio. Because as of yet, there's no Boston ATC online, and I don't think anybody's watching who's going to come online for me. And we'll get a transponder code of 2000 in there because, again, no ATC to assign us a code. Done. Alright, I think we're just about ready now to do a quick briefing, departure briefing, and then get this show on the road. Just going to do a quick status check here. Take a second to look around and see. Don't see the fuel truck yet. There's always one way to find him. Hey, Mr. Fuel Truck. Where are ya? Alright, he's getting there. He's on Echo Taxiway. This is pretty close to where we are. There's that Hyatt Hotel. You can see downtown Boston. It looks really nice, actually. He's coming. He's booking it. He's trying to get here. Okay, so let me pull up my Navigraph charts over here for you. Where did I put them already? I lost them. There they are. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, close that down for a second, and say Boston. Show me the charts list for Boston. Such an intuitive interface. I do love the way they've designed this interface. There's the airport info, parking gates, pin those, and pin the Logan 2 departure. Alright, and I don't know if you guys can see it there. Yeah, you can see at the bottom there the things that are pinned. And it's just so nice because you can quickly click through any of the charts that you want to have, and you can pin arrival and departure charts, whatever's relevant. So, yeah, today we're going to be, let's see, we're at gate Alpha 3, I think it is here, Alpha 2 or 3. So we're going to taxi out through the Delta apron here, going to go out Kilo, and then to get to 22 right, we're going to go Kilo Bravo November, crossing 15 right, crossing 15 left, 22 right. There's hotspots crossing both runways here, as well as a hotspot here at Kilo, making sure we make the turn onto Bravo, don't blunder across 22 right. Other than that, that's our taxi route for departure. The Logan 2 departure is a pretty straightforward SID. It's a vector SID. Is it the Logan? Yeah. The Logan 2 departure, so initial climb for non-jets. Climb on assigned heading and top altitude 3000. Yeah, that's right. So they always give you a heading in Boston, and then you just get... usually it's a turn away from all the rest of the jet departures. It's usually a turn to the west over the city, and then up towards Highland is the first fix. Radar is required. DME is required for jet aircraft. Blazer, Bruin, Pats, Reeves, and Sox departures. Nope, not us. Jet aircraft. Nope, not us. Non-RNAV equipped aircraft can expect vectors to assigned routes. So that's what we're expecting anyways. Top altitude 3000, climb on assigned heading, and off of runway... that's the one thing I didn't look at back here. To right is 215 is the runway heading there. So we did set it right. So it is 215 is on the heading down there. 3,000 foot's on the altitude. We're all set for that. That's about it for terrain. That's about it for the charts terrain. Pull that back up again for a second. It should be on the SID. The highest MSA is 2,500 feet. The weather is... it's okay here. It's just partly cloudy skies. It's actually pretty warm, 3 degrees, not bad for this time of year. And operational, I've got really nothing. In the event of an engine failure, it's just going to be runway heading. And that's basically all I've got. Any questions? No? Where'd that fuel truck go? He was like right here. He was literally... Did he come and go already? It looks like he's leaving. He left. He decided we had enough fuel and he... Whoop! And he left. Okay, that's it. Okay, fine. Good. In which case, we are ready. So let's start with the checklist. Let's do a... no, we don't need an originating before start check because it's just a turn. So we just need to do the before start check. So, circuit breakers. Check left and right. And escape hatch is closed. Battery master main aux standby, are on. And seatbelts are on. Flight taxi is taxi. Yaw dampers on. Fuel quantity, we got 8,000 pounds. That checks. Emergency brake pressure is on and check. Power levers are disc condition levers are fuel off, and the takeoff briefing is complete. And ACARS initialization, stand by 1 second while I just actually do that. I'm just going to put you on the forward view while I do that for a second. I got to just get my ACARS going. Nope, it's not ready yet. Just making sure all my log trackers are ready to go. That's the one. That's the one right there. And book and yep. Alright. Okay, and so we just gotta start this up. Start flight, have a nice flight. Okay, it is tracking us. We are in flight according to a pilot's life, and we are ready to go. Alright, so we can go ahead and prepare for pushback and departure. And they want us to... Fuel truck is gone, right? Fuel truck not available during boarding or departure. Good. Waiting for your action to close exit 1. And I just have to get the jetway to move. This is the ironic thing about this silly about GSX and the Dash 8 is that you have to remove the bridge before you can close the door. And since GSX is no longer going to allow me to do that, I'm going to do it that way. There we go. Just directly tell SO to get rid of the bridge. Now we can close the door. There goes the cargo door. There goes the main door. Now everybody's just about ready to go here. Very good. Alright, tow truck in motion. Alright, let's go ahead. The door is closed, so let's go ahead and do the start approved check. No steering is off, and the... let's see here. I lost myself already. Transponder. We're going to go ahead.
We're ready for pushback.
On alt. Doors and fueling lights. Oh, we got a door open still. Which door is open? I thought we closed all the doors. The service doors are open somehow. Hold on. See if we can close them with the key code.
Locking gear.
And that's why we checked. That's why we have a checklist in case anything got missed. There go the service doors. We got 6 green. The lights out up there. Okay, perfect. So doors and fueling lights are out. APU bleed is off. And the anti-collision is going to red. Start approved. Nope, that's the wrong way. Come on. Ah. I really would love to get rid of those right-click menus sometimes. Alright, start approved check is complete. And guys, are we clear on 2? As best as I can tell out there, we're clear on 2. Starting engine 2. I hate this left-click menu sometimes. In combination with track IR, can be very frustrating. Alright, we got rotation on number 2. Here comes condition lever number 2. They're waiting for me to remove the GPU. Here comes fuel flow. Here comes light off. Oil pressure is rising. NH is rising. ITT is rising. NL starting to rise. That should be engine adapter heat 2. It is. Associated with engine start. And we got a nice stable looking start. NH acceleration is stopped. Stabilized. ITT appears to be stabilizing. I'm just going to put this back onto electrical page there. And that all looks good. So we're going to go ahead and take off external power.
Release parking brakes.
And the generator's holding the load. Perfect. And we can go ahead. Services. Cancel the GPU. Alright, so we're removing the GPU. There it is, it's gone. Alright guys, you're cleared to push. Brakes are coming off. We don't want tail to the right, so let's do a quick edit pushback here. What we would like is we'd like the airplane over here somewhere, please. Facing down the taxiway, please. I gotta say, that snow effect is pretty good for the most part here. Look at that, look at the apron. Like the apron, it's got the tire tracks and everything. Alright, that is a good place to push to, except that I think it's going to have to go backwards and forwards once or twice to get there, so we're going to do it something like that. There, I think that's pretty good. Maybe I can do it here. It's just doing it to the middle of the plane, isn't it? See, I'm thinking it's like the nose wheel it's showing you, but it's showing you where it's going to try to put the middle of the plane. Yeah, no, that's fine. Alright, go ahead, accept that.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Thank you. Alright, we're underway, guys. Last leg of a pilot's life. Season 1, I'm going to call this. The first month I've had to do. Definitely going to continue on with the Season 2, though. Alright, guys. Clear on 1. Starting engine 1. Got NH rotation. Condition lever 1's up. Got fuel flow. ITT is starting to rise. Oil pressure's building. NH still increasing. Prop RPM's rising. ITT's increasing. NL's increasing now. Everything's increasing. You almost just want to basically do like a loop around the engine gauges as the engine's starting and just make sure that everything is increasing at a steady rate, but nothing's skyrocketing either, especially the ITT. You don't want to see a hot start. Alright, looks like we got a stable start on number 1, and that's engine adapter heat 1, so that's just associated with the engine start. And that was quick, guys. Thank you, guys. That was a great push.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Alright, thank you. That was good engine start, guys. You're good to go. You're clear to disconnect and revert to hand signals. Enjoy the rest of your day. It's a lot quieter here than it was on the FNO. I have to say, I was very impressed with the FNO. There was a very realistic number of airplanes moving around these aprons on the FNO. I enjoyed it a lot. And it did not kill my frame rate as much as I might have thought it would.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Thanks, guys. You know, I would have thought that with the number of airplanes in Boston, it would have really killed my frame rate, but I guess it's the scenery overall that does it. The AI airplanes don't add that much per se, even when there's a dozen or more within range. Alright, just waiting for the hand signal from this guy.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Alright, good. Thank you. condition levers up to max. Let's get those up just a little bit so it's a little smoother. Alright, see you, buddy. Alright, so we're waiting for these props to come up. Once they get to about 550, all the yellow lights are supposed to go off. Not before that. Now they should all go off. Hey, look, okay, everything's off. Alright, and we do the after start check. Alright, and I'm also doing the FO flow at the same time here. Alright, so he's going to go ahead and set 5 flap. Control locks. Alright, that's elevator press. First, we're going to do the rudder check. And you can see the rudder there moving, and then the captain will do this. He puts the nose wheel steering back on. Turn the radar to stand. Oop. Don't do that. There we go. And meanwhile, the FO will be checking the controls. You should be doing it from here so you can see what that screen shows you. There we go. Alright, and the spoilers are looking good. Okay, and I think that's it. After start. Oh, jeez, you gotta do this. Sorry. That's what I'm forgetting. After start checklist. So start select light is out. External power APU is off. Leader 1 and 2 is been and on. Ice protection is standard, plus the windshields. Caution warning lights check, just the parking brake. Battery temps and loads. Check. And put that back to map mode now. Tank oxygens 1 and 2 are on. Auto feathers AF select. Engine ratings normal. Takeoff power 90%. Bleeds on. Standby high press P2 controller on. High press and quantity are all checked. Height 3 and elevators were checked. Flight controls were checked and free. And the de-icing pressure checks. Flap is 5 set and indicated. Condition levers are max. Snow steering is on. Radar navcom is set. Just Unicom and the squawk code, and we're on alt. And PMDG no flags. After start checklist is complete. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to do one more thing here. I'm always just doing one thing for you guys. I'm sorry. I keep saying I'm going to put this checklist together. And yet I never do. Just going to do one thing to try and bump up the performance a little bit here. It seems to work. I'm actually surprised that it works, but it's such a silly thing that it shouldn't do anything, but it seems to work sometimes. It doesn't bump it up huge, but it bumps, I'd say it increases it by about 5% maybe. Alright, there we go. Alright, we're back, and alright, away we go. Parking brake off. And away we go. Taxi light on. Just take a bat spy in a second here once we get established on the taxiway, but Boston traffic Encore 3603 is at the Delta apron, taxiing for departure runway 22 right Boston. Alright, now that we're on the straightaway, switch to the rudder pedals so it's a little more finessed. I do like the snowy textures here, they're kind of nice. I don't think it's going to really look like this today in Boston because it's actually 3 degrees above zero in Boston, but nevertheless, it looks good. It definitely gives you the impression of winter. Alright, so out kilo. We don't have to slow down that much. Alright, just for a second. I'm going to look over at the other computer and pull up my VATSPI. My mouse probably won't reach to the other computer. Taxiing. And looking away. Kids, don't text and taxi. Also, don't look at VATSPI while you're taxiing. Come on, why won't you come up? I just want to see if there's much traffic in the Boston area today. It would appear there's an inbound, but that's about it. An inbound a couple minutes away. Alright, back to my track IR, back to me doing the taxiing, and obviously that rudder is not cutting it. So the tiller it is. Where are we going, guys? Focus. These tire tracks are a nice effect. That's what the taxiway looks like on a nice snowy day like this. It's not really snowing in Boston, like I said. It's a couple degrees above zero, but this is definitely what Boston should look like in winter. A lot of the time, anyways. There's been last winter too. Some of them had some really harsh times in Boston too. There was a point last winter or the winter before, I can't remember which winter it was, where the airport was essentially shut down for like 5 days because the entire airport was a skating rink. There was so much ice everywhere. They couldn't pour enough chemical melter. The ice was so thick they couldn't pour enough chemical on it to melt it. You can't use salt. You have to use chemical deicers. Salt is not good for airplanes, so you have to use chemical deicers. And they're very expensive, first of all, especially for the volume that you need to cover an airport. And they only work down to a certain temperature, I believe minus 14 or minus 16, then they stop working. And even then, like you still have to break up the ice. Like they're good for kind of cracking the ice and sort of establishing a little bit of a foothold, but you still at the end of the day have to break through it. So you either have to somehow take a blade to it and get underneath it, which is very tough, especially like in the large areas that you talk about in an airport, or drive up and down it enough times. And I remember going to Boston, and it was, they were in ground delay programs. They managed to get one runway open after like 3 days, to the point where you could use it. The whole airport was crazy. Even the apron, like you had to really watch your step out on the apron. So Boston sometimes it's not too bad in the winter, but they can get some brutal winters. They can get some brutal storms that come in, and especially being close to the ocean, you can get a lot of moisture off the ocean. You get freezing fog very easily. Should be doing the taxi check while we're rolling here, before we get to the turns again here. So taxi check, taxi light is on the altimeters. 305112 and 3 set. And takeoff warn. Tell you, it's a lot easier to do these things in daylight though. Takeoff warning. Oh, we're stopping. Not meaning to. Yep, takeoff warn is test. And we'll say that the cabin called, said they were secure. Taxi check complete. Boston traffic, Encore 3613 is on runway, or correction, is on November, crossing runway 15 right and 15 left. Now, I'm not sure if this is working out well or if there's too much background noise for you guys. I might just tweak the levels in a second, just a bit here. First of all, let's get the strobe on because we're crossing the runway. No ATC, so we're going to say we're clear to cross. Looking both ways down the runway as far as I can see. It looks clear. Let's go. Don't dilly-dally too much on the runway here. Very good. Alright, that's one runway crossed. It is possible to throw these switches sometimes without accidentally hitting the right-click menu, but not very often. Alright, then we gotta cross one more runway. We gotta cross 15 left, and this apparently has the claim to fame that this is the shortest runway at any major airport in the United States, at something like 2,400 feet long or 2,700 feet long. For a major international airport, it's a very short runway. Oop, don't overdo the steering. Let's do it this way. Let's kill that strobe again. Oh, that time this time it's doing it. Come on. Trying to look where I'm taxiing and move the switch at the same time. Oh, I need an FO. I really do need a high quality FO to fly with me here. Would certainly make a lot of these procedures a lot easier if you had an FO, but that's okay. Alright, I just heard a message on Unicom. Gonna bring up my vPilot in the other window. Alright, here we are at 22 right. Alright, so we're gonna say we're cleared to go, so strobe's on. And we're gonna say a lineup check. Cabin crew cease for departure. And the lineup check, if I can pull it up here, FA notification is PA, transponder is on alt. TCAS is TA only. MFDs are both are terrain and weather. Clear on the left and the right. Bleed Air 1 and 2 is min and on, and flight taxi's flight lineup check is complete. Let's say we're cleared for takeoff, so we can go ahead and get those. No need to stop completely. If I was doing just one thing, like focusing on just taxiing the airplane, just maneuvering it into position, I could do it a lot better. But focusing on this and operating all the switches and running all the checklists, it's a lot. Okay, and then there's the weird flashing runway here. Boston traffic Encore 3603 is departing runway 22 right. You think I would learn by now? Bring that up. There we go. Takeoff, check power. Power is set. There's 100 knots. Missed the 80 knots call. Watching the center line as well as everything else. E1 rotate. Overdo it. Positive rate. Gear up. There's 400 feet. They usually give us a turn to a heading of like 290, so let's go ahead and get that in there. Although it's usually not to like 900 feet because of all the obstacles around the airport. Let's go ahead and set 290 on the heading. Alright, there's 900 feet because there's downtown Boston. We go sailing past, and we want to make sure we see downtown Boston. Alright, and there's 1100, so flaps 0. Bleeds on. Climb power. And let's do autopilot on. And there's pitch hold. There we go, past downtown Boston. We usually make the turn a little tighter than that. That was, but again, me doing everything by myself. 2200 climbing 3000. Let's go ahead and set a higher altitude. Let's set 5000. We're definitely through the MSA, so we can pitch down a little bit here and pitch down to about 10, 12 degrees. Let's get a little better climb going on here. And we definitely need some rudder in there. Holy moly, I'm holding a lot of rudder in there trying to keep this airplane straight. But that's the way the Dash 8 is, the good old mighty Dash. Alright, we're airborne. I'm just going to close that up. There's Boston. There's past downtown Boston. Let's go ahead and go direct Highland. That's 4,000 climbing 5,000. Let's get direct Highland in there. Number 4. Nope. That's number 4. Enter. Let's get nav mode in there. LNAV, and then we're alt starring again. Let's go ahead and get the climb going the rest of the way up to 240. Alright, 240 is our cruise altitude. There it is. Flight level 240 set. Alt cell. We're back into pitch hold. We're holding 10 degrees. We're doing 190 knots. Let's keep this for now. Let's get the prop heat on as we're going to hit that cloud, and it's probably below 0 out there now, or very close to it. Yeah, -4. So let's get that going, and I think we're doing pretty good here. Oop, don't do that. Just do that. There we go. Still trying to center that rudder. All right. Farewell, Boston. There you go. Farewell, Boston. I'm sure I will see you again. But in the meantime, let's get on our way back home here. Ice detected. No surprise there. Let's see here. Let's pitch down just a little bit. Make sure we keep our speed up a little bit. But the speed does check, so we're going to go ahead and get the increased ref on. Turn on the ice protection. There go the boots. The wings should be... They don't look too bad right now anyways, but hopefully they'll stay clean. Climbing pretty quickly here. We haven't even done yet, but we're going to do it now. The after takeoff checklist. A lot of work doing this all by yourself, so...
Traffic 201 Papa Alpha, taking off runway 34, departure to the west.
Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to zoom that out so I can see a little bit. Stop that. Ah! I would love to disable, permanently disable that right-click menu. I think, Lockheed Martin, if you're listening, that would be one of the most awesome features you could add. It's just an option in the options panel to disable the right-click menu in P3D. That would be so nice, because so many add-ons have right-click spots, and if you miss them, then you get that stupid thing coming up. All right, 10,000. I can't believe we haven't done this yet. All right, and we haven't even chimed the FAs. Okay, FAs are chimed. All right, let's see here. After takeoff checklist. All right, so landing gear is up. Flap, 0. Climb power is set. And bleed air 1 and 2 is norm and on. Auto feather is off. Tank ox pumps are off. Hide pumps are norm. Engine temps and pressures, everything checks. Everything appears to be green. Ice protection is all on right now. Cabin press and temp controls, well, we're already at 10,000. We're looking at 424. Like, everything's doing nicely. The differential's building. Rate cabin's climbing. Everything's good. And FA notification is chimed. After takeoff checklist is complete. 10,000. Lights off. And again, pressurization we just checked. Seatbelt sign. I'm going to leave it on until we just get above this cloud deck here. Now we are losing speed because I am trying to climb pretty aggressively here at a pretty high nose angle just to get us over this cloud, which looks like it's going to be pretty bumpy. We have to go through it a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but I'd rather try and get above it than through it. So, anyways, we're on our way. Show me some information here about Toronto. 12:37 landing time. We're going to probably cut that back to about 12:20 by the time all is said and done. Just have to get accelerated to cruise here. We're only grounding at, right now, what are we grounding at here? 215. Yeah, we're going to get another 100 knots on the ground speed as we get up there. Alright. We don't have... Yeah, we still got ice detected there. But we are climbing slowly on top here. I'm going to continue to pitch down a little bit more to try and get the speed back here because we're getting pretty slow. Looks like we're kind of on top of a good portion of the cloud deck anyways. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. You know, and these are things that autopilots often cannot, they can't detect, they can't predict, make decisions, conscientious decisions for the betterment of the flight. Things like, and this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, things like avoiding clouds. Like if you can pitch a little higher, maybe to get over a cloud, or maybe just a little bit left or right to avoid a cloud, it's not the end of the world if you go through a cloud, but oftentimes they're bumpy. And if you're trying to make the experience more pleasant for your passengers, that's definitely one way to do it. Alright, I'm going to take some liberties since there's no ATC online, and we're going to go direct to Cambridge here. We're just going to cut out this little dogleg up to Highland here. We're going to go direct to Cambridge. Oftentimes when we get above 15, 16, once we're with center, they allow us to do that. So there's direct Cambridge. That'll cut a couple minutes off our flight. Hey, when you're a dash operator, efficiency is where it's at. You have this machine that's capable of doing so much more jets. You tend to be much more shoehorned into the jet paradigm, and you know, it takes a long time to slow this thing down and that sort of thing. With a jet with a turboprop, you You can slow down very quickly, you can go down very quickly, you can do tight approaches. If you saw my video of the Montreal visual, that's the kind of thing you do all the time in a Dash 8. It's got the performance, it doesn't need a long runway. You can do, it doesn't need a long final to get established and stabilized. So you can do these things in a Dash 8 that you can't necessarily do in a jet. And that's one of the nice things about the Dash 8 is it gives you more flexibility as an operator, as a pilot, to try and make the operation as efficient as possible, minimize the time gate to gate as much as possible, not without compromising safety by any means. And I would never suggest doing it to compromise safety, but you don't need the margin that a jet necessarily needs. You don't need to be established on a 10-mile final. You don't need to do the full length departure every time in a Dash 8 on a 10,000 foot runway. You could do 2 touch and goes in that 10,000 foot runway on a Dash 8. There's transition, set 2992. There we go. And so standard is set and cross-checked and passing 180. Alright, and away we go. We're on our way back to Toronto. How are we doing now? Got a little bit. We got about the same ground speed now that we turned into the wind, but we saved ourselves. It looks like we shaved 20 minutes off already just on increasing the ground speed a little bit, and taking that shortcut as well, I think, is also helping us. There's Cambridge, our first fix there. Alright, on our way. Took a long time to get to this point. It didn't really take that long. But it did take a while just to get this stream in, and I've been wanting to do it for a while, but it just it's December now. It is you know, the season of Christmas. Just between everything you need to do to prepare for Christmas, and then of course celebrating with various people, you know, various family members in different ways and friends throughout December, free time is something that becomes very scarce. So this is probably going to be the last stream of the year. Certainly between now and Christmas, I don't anticipate another stream. Maybe the week after Christmas, I might squeeze something in. We'll see what happens. But I feel like this is probably going to be the last stream of the year for this series, only because just time is so hard to find this time of year. We really don't need to climb that quickly. What we need is forward speed going. Alright, and I did notice that the ice detected is gone. We are well above the cloud deck. The wing appears clean, so we're going to go ahead and go to just standard plus the windshield. And there we go. We're on our way. It's about a 2-hour flight back to Toronto. Well, it's an hour 50 from now. We're getting there. With any luck, we'll get a little bit of a shortcut once we get close to Toronto as well. Maybe there'll even be some ATC online if it's a little bit later in the day. It's after lunch anyways. There might be a couple guys might show up. We'll hope. 196 knots is not too bad. We're still climbing at almost 1,000 feet per minute. 3,000 feet to go. We're getting there. 60 knots on the nose. It's not terrible for this time of year, actually. You could have closer to 100, so 60-ish on the nose by the time we get to cruise is not terrible. It's going to cut us back. But it's what you expect. The legs westbound are always slower, and especially as you get more into winter, it does make a noticeable difference. The winds are higher. Westbound legs of any substantial length definitely get longer. Boston, Toronto is one that you do where it feels very quick going eastbound, and then coming westbound, it always feels long. Chicago's another one where the westbound flight, Minneapolis, Toronto, the westbound flights are quite quick, and then the westbound flights are quite slow, I should say. And then you turn around to come home, and you're like, oh, we're home already. It didn't take us very long to get there at all. How's the pressurization system doing? It's got to reach about 75. Differential's maxing out. Fortunately, we're not climbing too quickly, so the cabin doesn't have to climb too quickly to get the rest of the way. Got about 2 minutes at the top of the climb here. Don't be able to throw another 50 knots hopefully at it when we level off in cruise here. Even as we're getting up, we're getting time back. 12:10. I'm just watching that ETA. Not that I want to get out of the airplane, but you know, I don't want this to turn into a long ordeal of a stream. It's been a fun season 1 though. As I look back at season 1, it's been fun. It's been long. Some of those streams ended up a lot longer than not necessarily that I originally hoped, but the first stream was a bit of an adventure with the gear pins. Glad we didn't have that happen again.
Bedford traffic, Skyhawk 201, Papa Alpha is 10 miles west of the field, inbound runway 29er, Bedford.
The second stream, the second third stream Ottawa turn was not too bad. Those fourth and fifth legs, that Myrtle Beach turn, wow, that was long. Each of those legs, that's 230 climbing 240. Each of those 2 legs was long. I couldn't believe how long those 2 legs were separately and then combined. Like, that was a 5-6 hour turn. So thank you guys for sticking with me. I never intended to continue, you know, expecting anybody to watch for that length of time. The one that stupid switch sticks. Went a little bit too far. The one that surprised me a little bit, because I didn't plan it that way, and I haven't published it yet to YouTube. I haven't pushed it to YouTube yet, but I'm going to very soon. It's just, I'm just having a quick look through and tweaking a few things before I upload it, is the Montreal turn, the second Montreal turn, where I did the entire turn in one stream, and I think that ended up being the longest stream, longer than the Myrtle Beach streams, because it was 2 flights, including 2 flight preparations, the turnaround in Montreal, which was quick. It was definitely quick, but it was an evening flight, Alt-Star, and as you watched it, I think you could tell that my energy level was going down by the end of it. I don't think I was chatting as much by the end of it as I normally do. I was sort of getting ready for it to be over, and then a little bit of poor judgment, and I won't even say it was poor judgment. It was there was a systems issue that was probably exacerbated by poor judgment caused by fatigue. It took me too long to do a go-around, and my go-around was very sloppy because I was A, doing it by myself, B, trying to diagnose the systems problem, and C, just damn tired. Alt. So that stream ended up being longer than I ever had anticipated it. So that's going to come out on YouTube very soon now. Of course, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you've probably already seen that one. It was a bit of a frustrating experience, but it is an excellent example of what happens when pilots get tired. You know, pilots are human beings. They're always making decisions. They're making choices. They're trying to make judgments. And when you're impaired by anything, whether it be, you know, not that I think anyone should be drinking when they're flying, but if you are impaired by any kind of alcohol or drug use, or just because you're tired, you cannot make good judgment. So you have to, you have to do your best to be in peak condition. The sad fact is, though, that many pilots fly tired, and it's often not really a choice. It's just simply the schedules people are given are so grueling. In some cases, very long days, 14-hour days. Like, you think about that. Like, it doesn't sound like a lot when you start talking about it, but think about, like, the normal average human being does an 8-hour workday. This is over 1.5 times a normal 8-hour workday. And how tired do you feel after an 8-hour workday? Now throw 6 more hours of work on there, and how tired are you really? And it's always at the end of a long day that the worst things happen, and you have to make good judgments. And can you make those good judgments when you're tired, when you're not operating at your peak performance? So there's new fatigue rules coming into Canada, at least, that have been implemented in most of the rest of the world, and are finally coming to Canada, that are going to reduce the amount of time that pilots are spend on the flight deck, and especially depending on the time of day, it's going to be a lot more complicated than it ever was before. But that's the science. That is the science at the end of the day. It's, there's so many variables that go into determining a person's ability to perform and level of tiredness. It's not just how long have you been working, but what time did you start work at? Did you start work at 5 in the morning? Did you start work at 2 in the morning? Did you start work at 9 a.m.? Like, the more you are sort of on a normal human rhythm, the longer you can probably go for. But if you start work at 9 p.m., there's only so long you can probably last before you're exhausted. All right, are we going to get much more out of this? Is she still accelerating? She's still giving it a little bit here. We've cut almost 30 minutes off the original ETA now. We're only an hour and 20 from here to Toronto, which is not bad at all. I was thinking it's going to be a little longer than this, but I think we're doing pretty good. I feel like it's about all the speed we're going to get out of it, so we're going to go ahead and do the cruise check. So props back there, and that's all we got to do for the flow. Then we just read the cruise check. So cruise check states altimeters. We should have 2992, 1, 2, 3 set. And power, we've got set. We're just going to keep it max and hopefully fly just below the red line. Still accelerating slowly here. Fuel check. Alright, I don't have the SimBrief flight plan right in front of me, so let's do it this way. Our reserves are 2600, 2650, and so overhead Toronto, we're estimating 37. We're estimating an excess of 1,000 pounds over Toronto, 30 minutes of extra fuel. So fuel looking good. Seat belts. Did I ever turn them off? No, I did not. Now is the time. Definitely smooth up here in cruise. Lights, as required. We just have the beacon, or the anti-collision and the nav lights. Yep. Cabin press. Should be level about 7,500 on here. Yeah, give or take. It's within definitely an air tolerance there. Cabin press checks. Ice protection is just the standard plus the windshields for now. And the 24-hour ice test was completed on another leg this day. Cruise check is complete, and that's it. We're on our way. 1 hour and 15 minutes until we land in Toronto based on our present rate of progress. So there we go, guys. Welcome to the flight deck, sipping coffee at 24,000 feet. Because what is flying without a nice cup of coffee to enjoy while you enjoy the scenery? And once again, there is no scenery to enjoy. It is not the time of year, I guess, to be flying, if you want to see the scenery, because there's almost always a cloud deck this time of year, although I see a few holes in it there. I see a little bit of scenery down there in the corner. But it's mostly a pretty solid cloud deck, and it's probably going to be the same way all the way to Toronto, sadly. Alright, I don't know if this is too loud. I'm going to just step away from the mic for 1 second here. I'm just going to check it on my other window here just to see how loud this is. That didn't work. That worked. Give me 1 second, guys. Well, it seems like I can hear myself pretty clearly through the stream, so I was worried the background noise is too loud. I don't think it is, so I'm going to leave the levels as they are, unless anyone complains, but I'm going to leave them as they are for today. There we go. Alright, so we got an hour until we land. We probably got about 30 minutes until we hit top and drop, maybe more, so what can we chat about today? There's a few things you always try to stay away from on the flight deck: religion, politics. When you're trying to start a conversation, ask people about their kids. That'll usually get people talking. Sports, hobbies, things like that. Try to stay away from controversial topics. So we try to stay away from the like I said, politics and religion can be not that religion is controversial, but people can have very strong views about religion, and people can become very uncomfortable when their views on religion are challenged. So in the interest of flight deck harmony and good crew communication, we're not going to talk about any of that. So hobbies, what do you like doing? Oh, you like flight simulation, do you? Oh, what a coincidence. So things to talk about with flight simulation. I mean, we're getting to the end of the year. There were a lot of good Black Friday sales this year. I hope you guys took some advantage of them. Support some of these developers that are putting out fantastic products. There's lots of great products coming out these days. What can we talk about in terms of recent releases? I mean, just this week, the Airbus A330 from Aerosoft finally came out. I know a lot of people were anticipating that for a long time, and I was looking forward to it. It wasn't on my radar as something I was going to grab immediately, but it ended up being gifted to me, which was very nice. And I'm enjoying it. It's I never actually got to finish the flight because I crashed it, because they do have a few issues with it. The one issue, I'm just watching this red line here, which is still creeping up to it slowly. The one issue it has apparently is with the EFB, has a built-in web browser, and that apparently can often cause crashes. And of course, I went to go use it halfway through a flight, and it did crash. So I'm going to probably keep my hands off it until I'm sure it's working effectively. But the A330 and the A320, I'd never really seen the A330, wasn't too familiar with it. I gotta say, the A330 and the A320, a lot of commonality in the flight deck. Pretty much got it up and running in the sim, and powered it up, and just followed the A320 procedures pretty much without too much modification, and it got me through into startup and into flight. So without understanding a lot about the systems of the airplane, which is not how I normally like to fly, but just for the sake of getting it up and running, I've got to say that knowing the A320, if you can fly the A320, you can fly the A330. They're very similar. There's a few more doodads in the A330. There's a couple of extra hydraulic systems. There's an extra MCDU on the center panel. But otherwise, the commonality in the flight deck is quite substantial. So if you're comfortable with one, you can pick the other up pretty quickly. The nice side bonus of that, and this was a nice little Christmas present to a lot of people, I think. I didn't know that this was going to happen. Maybe people did. Is that FS2 crew, if you had it for the A320, covers the A330. Same package, same deal, same procedures, which is great. Again, you don't have to learn a whole new set of FS2 crew procedures. No additional cost. Their Aerosoft A320 pack is an Aerosoft Airbus pack, and it will simply I guess the plan is that any Airbus product that Aerosoft produces, it's going to support right out the bat. I imagine that on the back end, the SDKs were somewhat similar, if not very similar, so it made a very small amount of development necessary to implement. But that was a nice little Christmas present. You know, I was enjoying FS2 Crew for the 320. I liked it a lot better than the built-in checklist system, first officer system that Aerosoft included. I don't know why. I just didn't get along with it. It just didn't seem to work for me very well. So I was happy to continue to be able to continue to use FS2 Crew for that. So that was nice. That was a nice little surprise. I was pleasantly surprised by that. But it's a very good airplane, very nice and detailed on the outside. It ships with a whole bunch of liveries, which is also nice. You know, I understand the idea of minimizing download package sizes by not including a whole bunch of liveries, but having a few common ones right off the bat is good, without having to go and pop them into the aircraft.cfg file, open that up, cut and paste. It's not hard, but it's just tedious. It takes a while to do it, especially if you have to do it for multiple airplanes. You know, every time you reinstall or do an update or something like that, like, it becomes a bit tedious. So it's nice to have a few included deliveries right off the bat, and a bunch of them are ones that I wanted to fly: Virgin and Air Canada and Lufthansa, to name a few of the ones that are included that I wanted to fly anyways. And there's quite a few others. I think there's about 8 or 10 in total, something like that, 6 or 8 or 10, I can't remember. But it's nice to have those included. I do like that. I understand, developers, you don't want to overload your package with lots of liveries, but at the same time, you don't want to make it hard on your customers, and that's one thing that trying to install extra liveries can be if you don't have a livery manager. PMDG has done a very nice job. Their livery manager is fantastic. It just works. You just click the ones you want, you just hit download, and it works. Just gonna back off the power a hair because it's just getting very snug to that red line there. So it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Aerosoft has one for the 320, but not for the 330, and I hope that's going to change. I hope they're going to integrate the 330 into their livery manager as well, because it looks like it can be done very easily. But overall, very nice airplane. I enjoyed flying it. It definitely feels heavier than the 320, but otherwise, from the front end, you don't notice much of a difference. What else is there? Of course, the NGXu came out surprisingly the other day. I don't think I had a chance to talk about it because my last stream was just FNO and it was just crazy. But that one really kind of came out of left field. No one was expecting that to launch when it did. There was no sort of hints really being dropped too much about it ahead of time, and all of a sudden, boom, here you go. It's kind of the last word I think they're going to have on the P3D platform, and I am on the fence about whether it's worth it or not. And I appreciate any input anybody has about whether or not the NGXu is worth it. I did not buy the NGX for P3D. I bought it for FSX, it annoys me that the same airplane is not importable into P3D. I understand there's different SDK requirements, but the commonality, I think, should exceed the differences. So at the very least, there should be a discounted price. That's one that really kind of bothered me for a long time. Maybe PMDG disagrees with me, and you know what? It's a free country. You're allowed to disagree, but I think that was, you know, like I said, to pay full price for that simulation again was a bit too much. Which is why it's a bit surprising and pleasant to see that with the NGXu there is a discount until the end of this year, where you get if you buy the NGXu, you will get the full price of the NGXu credited towards the NG3 on the 2020 platform whenever it comes out, which is nice. You know, it's not very often that PMDG gives you much credit for anything, so it's nice when they do reward people. That was one thing that was nice about the 330, is that if you're a 320 owner, you get it at a discount rate, and that makes sense because there's a lot of commonality. You can see the commonality in the way the systems are designed, not just by Airbus, but the way Aerosoft has put the aircraft together. There's a lot of commonality to the software that they've developed for it. The aircraft options setup, the connected flight deck, which is another nice feature that I think is going to help sell the 330 as well, is a nice long-haul airliner with a good connected flight deck, because the 320 flight deck has been pretty reliable. It's been fairly well usable, and so it's nice to see that continued on in the 330. I lost my train of thought there. But yes, I guess we were talking about PMDG and their upgrades and everything. And I understand, like, a lot of development goes into PMDG products, but still, a lot of people have shelled out also a lot of money to PMDG over the years, and they just think they're going to keep on putting up the dough every single time. It's a bit much sometimes. So, anyways, I'm still on the fence about it because I didn't buy the NGX for this platform. I may buy the NGXu for this platform. It strikes me as now it's a differentiated enough product to make it worth spending the money versus just simply buying another NGX, which I had already operated in FSX. So, on the fence about it, haven't made up my mind. Thinking about it though. Definitely in terms of offering the flexibility that, you know, the ability of the 737, like the 320, to operate into most airports. Big airports and small airports alike, makes it a huge, you know, makes it a very advantageous airplane to have in your library, even more than the Dash 8. The Dash 8's got great flexibility, you can do really short fields, but what limits the Dash 8, of course, is its range and its speed. You know, we're dealing with 100 knots less than the jet speed. We're only doing 285 over the ground now. You know, this flight would be about 20-25 minutes faster, I think, if we were in a jet versus in the Dash 8. So having that ability to fly the jet would be is the one thing, I think, and the range of it too. So you can, this airplane, realistically, 1,000 miles is about as far as you can get it with any kind of passenger load, and even then you're kind of stretching it. The comfort space for this airplane is definitely in the 200 to like 700 mile range. That's where it really kind of excels. As you get to 1,000, you're really kind of stretching it. You can do it, but it's not great. The 737 is a true transcontinental airplane. You can take that thing across the country without batting an eyelid in a reasonable amount of time. So it's definitely on my wish list, Santa. I don't know that Santa necessarily shops on the PMDG website, but we'll see. So I don't have too many people watching the stream right now. I guess most people have checked out while we're in cruise. It's pretty boring, but if you're watching this on YouTube, the inevitable question, of course, and please feel free to respond with your comments, what's on your Christmas wish list? Or by the time you see this video, it may be, of course, what was on your Christmas wish list, what was on your New Year's wish list, what things are you excited for in 2020? Obviously, the new version of Flight Simulator, a lot of people are excited to see what it's going to do, and I'm excited to see it. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'm excited to see it. What else is out there, though? There's not a whole lot else on the immediate burner now that the 330 is out. PMDG is obviously going to release their NG3 whenever that new platform comes out. not a whole lot of stuff I think that's really hugely in development for the P3D platform that I can think of right off the top of my head. I think FlyTampa is still working on Atlanta. Flightbeam is still working on, I think, Auckland. FS Dream Team's Chicago, long-awaited Chicago O'Hare finally came out, so I don't see a whole lot of stuff on the horizon that hasn't already been released right now. A lot of the projects that were long time coming have finally made it. Finally made it out. Just checking out on our speed here. Grounding 290, not too bad. We're going to be there in an hour. It's not too bad at all. The only one that comes to mind is something that, now this personally is something that I'm very intrigued in, is Aeroplane Heaven and FeelThere have teamed up to bring a next generation of the Embraer 170 and 190 aircraft to P3D. The Embraer is a very nice regional jet. It's a really great airplane to fly. It's got a lot of automated. It's got a very highly automated flight deck, much like the 320. In fact, probably almost more so than the 320, if it's possible. Very automated flight deck, very user-friendly for the most part. The only really complicated part of the airplane is, of course, the FMS, which can be very complicated. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bring that to market, how well it works. They have done a version in the past. It was not great. When you compare it to any of the really good high-end airplanes, even the Majestic Dash here, or any of the PMDG, even the Airbus products, the previous generation of the Embraer from FeelThere was not great. It was very, I believe it was originally made for FSX and then just simply ported very quickly to P3D, but the textures in the flight deck were not particularly crisp or anything. They were very chunky, very low quality textures. Systems fidelity was okay. I found it a little bit prone to crashing in P3D. It would occasionally crash if you tried to do too much on the FMS that was perhaps in a slightly different order than the exact order that it was normally designed to go. So it was not a great airplane. It wasn't expensive, so I don't think it was, I won't say it was necessarily bad value, but that is another airplane that I think has got a great great potential in the flight simulation world, because it's a regional jet, and so you can do short flights in it. You can do hour and a half hops in it very nicely, very comfortably, as well as longer hauls. You can do longer haul. You can do 3-hour flights in it. You can stretch it to 3.5, 4 hours if you really want to. But it's a nice jet like that. You can also operate into some smaller airports. You can do some regional service. So it's a nice jet to have for along the same lines as the 37, not quite the same range as the 37, but I think it's just like the CRJ. It's a good airplane for the simulator niche because you can get a flight done in a relatively short period of time. It's not a hard flight deck to set up other than the FMS. Setting up the flight deck is really quite quick and easy. The checklists are very nice and short on it. So I think it's an airplane that will do very well as a regional, and as long as they've done a good job with it. I'm a little skeptical because it was not that well done in the past. That being said, the Aeroplane Heaven has a good reputation. They're the ones that are actually developing it, and then I think FeelThere is more just the publisher in this case, which leads me to believe it's going to be better than the previous iterations were, because the previous iterations they were kind of junky. They weren't great. And I think it partly speaks to the age of what they were doing too. The FSX version was quite dated, but even just looking around the flight deck, when you compare it to like a very nice high quality flight deck like this, that it was a very low quality textures on the airplane. You'd notice all sorts of errors and things, cheap things that were poorly done. I'm trying to think. I think if you open the cargo door and you actually could see the backside of the cargo door, you'd see like a texture from the flight deck that was textured on there. So there were all sorts of little things like that were not well done. That disappointed me. I guess it wasn't a hugely expensive airplane, but I think there's a great market there for a high fidelity. I think Aerosoft demonstrated that with the CRJ. There's good market for regional airliners. People think the heavy iron is where it's at, but there's a lot of room for regional airliners too. Just keep checking that speed, checking how we're doing here. We're coming up over page. I think we should be. Let's pull up the VOR data. There we go. We passed Albany. We're coming up to Utica here in a little bit, so we're getting there. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to next year anyways. I'm probably going to end up picking up that airplane as long as it looks half decent. That's the only thing I'm really looking forward to at this point. I'm not even all that excited about 2020. Who knows when it's going to release even. It's so far down the road to me. You know, I mean, it could be December of 2020 by the time it releases. It could be a year from now before it releases. So I'm not holding my breath over it. I'm curious to see where it takes us and how it works, but I'm not you know, I'm not holding my breath until the day it releases, that's for sure. That's all I can think of really that's happened lately in this business. Don't have too much else to talk about really that I can think of. Take a quick moment just to promote the Navigraph survey. If anybody watching this has not done it yet and it's still open, please go do it. It's really good for the developers to get a very good, accurate demographic of who their customers are, where their interests lie, what they want to spend their money on. I think it's a very useful survey. I'm happy to fill it out every year and like I said, help these developers figure out who their target market are and what they're going to do with it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start just looking at the arrival process here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just going to trash these because I don't need the Boston departure anymore. Go ahead and close it up. And let's start looking at our arrival process. More than anything right now, I just want to see what the arrival, what the restrictions are in the star. I'm not terribly familiar with the Verco 9. And this is the Verco 9 for 2-4 right. Yes, that's the one. I'm assuming right now that's the runway we're going to land on. We might do another weather check here in a couple minutes because it's almost top of the hour. And let's get parking area information. Is this the one I'm looking for? Infield. No, I don't. Infield, I need. This is apron procedures and parking. That's the one I'm looking for. And 10-9. There we go. So I got everything I need pinned at the bottom here. And let's go ahead and have a quick look here at the Verco arrival. There it is. I like it. The only altitude restriction is youth max 220 knots between 10 and 8, and then BIMPO at 8. So, I believe it was in there, but I believe they had it at 8 at youth. Since we have to be at BIMPO at 8, let's just scroll through here. Since we have to be at BIMPO at 8, there's no point in being at youth at 8, so we might as well do the 10,000. Oops. There we go, 10,000 at youth. And let's just see what it'll take to get us there. Cross youth at 10,000, descend at 1,800 feet per minute. Ooh, it's going to be a steep descent with that headwind. Let's cut this back a little bit here. 3 degrees is a good target angle, descent angle in the Dash 8. If it's much over 3, you might have trouble slowing down. Alright, in this case it was mostly the headwind. Still 34 minutes till top of descent. Okay, we got a long time to go here. Zoom this out one more notch. Yeah, see there's the top of descent. Pretty much at Woolsey. It won't take us long to lose 14,000 feet, I guess, especially with this headwind. We're getting there. Alright, so I think what I might do is I might just step away from the flight deck, refresh my cup of coffee for a couple minutes, let you guys enjoy the external view, and then we'll check in again in about probably 10 minutes or so, and start setting up for the arrival into Toronto. Alright, stick with me, and we'll be back with you very soon. And one thing I'm going to do, as I always do before I leave you, is I am going to put it into a nice external screenshots pan here. Alright, stick with me, guys. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And as you watch this view, guys, if you look off to the right there, you can see Lake Ontario. Oh, and there we go. We switched past it now. Now we're back to looking behind us, but that means we're getting there. We are getting there, and I'm back. Got myself a little bit of a fresh cup of coffee, a little bit refreshed, and we're ready. Had to go talk to the flight attendants, get them. I had to go make my own cup of coffee because they were not helping me out. Alright, so we're going to get ready now, I think, for our arrival into Toronto with our beautiful Untitled -8 there. It is a nice model. It's nice to see it, and I do like these chase plane views, just sort of random views, because I get so used to the couple of views I have set up externally for the -8. It's nice that chase plane just lets you have these random views where the airplane just, and even with the camera angle, just panning ever so slightly as you go around it. It's very nice. I like it a lot. I just wish it would fade more between them. There we go, and there's Lake Ontario off to the right there. Looks like it's definitely winter in upstate New York now. And that that probably is the case, because there's definitely some lake effect snow probably coming across here the last couple days, so there's probably still some snow hanging out, even though it's getting a little above the freezing mark now. Alright, so let's hop back in that flight deck. Let's see what's going on here. And let's Let's see if I can get that. What can I push on to? There we go. Get this going here. It's gonna be a bit busy in Toronto. There is a whole bunch of arrivals into Toronto that are all sort of kind of showing up at about the same time here. It'd be good to have a controller on, otherwise we're gonna have a bit of a tough time here. So let's just check the weather here in Toronto. Winds are 150, 10 gusting 18, so very slightly favoring 2-4 right, ever so slightly. Not even really enough to talk about, but nevertheless. Oh, and the immigration, sorry, I didn't even see you there. You did tell me that my audio levels were fine. I didn't even notice that chat message. That was a while ago. I apologize for not noticing that, but thank you for the feedback. I do appreciate it. It's hard to know what's going on sometimes when you're streaming. I don't mean hard to know what's going on, but it's hard to be aware of the levels of your audio levels effectively while you're streaming. Alright, so we're going to plan an arrival in the 2-4 right today. Here we go. Alright. Which I'm pretty sure is what we've already set up. So the first thing we'll do is, as always, we'll get some speed set up. No worries. Sorry I missed your comment earlier. I've got it up on my third screen, way off in my peripheral vision, and I didn't even see it. So, but I do appreciate the feedback, and I appreciate you watching. Alright, so we're going to get this set up for arrival into Toronto here. Let's see if we can do this without too much jumping here. Alright, so let's do a little check here, first of all. So, fuel situation in Toronto is going to be 39, almost 4,000, which is great. Lots of extra fuel showing up, 58.5. In reality, we're going to throttle back for the descent, so probably 59,000 pound numbers will be just about ideal for this arrival into Toronto today. One other thing I'm going to have to do at some point is look up the arrival gate, but first let's get some approach briefing stuff out of the way here. So, long runways in Toronto, we're just going to keep it easy. We're going to do the flap 15 arrival. So we're looking at a ref of 123 for 59,000. 123 and 113. Whoop. 123, 113, and then fry and climb 26 and 50. So if we have to go around, minimum flat retraction speed. Yep, that's not what I meant to do. Click on it once. There we go. 126 for flat retraction speed, 150 for the single engine climb out. There we go. Alright, so the speeds are set. We're going to say the distance is checked. It's a 9,000 foot runway. We should be good for that. And that's, the cloud deck's breaking up a little bit up ahead. That's good, that's good. I think we're coming up to Rochester very soon here. Yeah, Rochester's next on the, yeah, Rochester's up ahead there. That's the Rochester area up there. That might be the airport right there even. Okay, yeah, so we'll say the speeds are in, the distances are checked. Again, we're going to make sure we just have everything in here, but I'm pretty sure we have it set up for the arrival into Toronto. So it starts Wozy, Iston, Ling, Youth, 10,000 pinpoint. Yeah, that all looks good. That all looks good. What I need to do is I need to pull up the approach charts and quickly check for the frequencies for the ILS here. So it's 1093 INV. There it is. And the inbound course is 237. I may have done it once or twice in my life. 1093. And on the number 2. And the inbound course of 237. Let's get the FO to set it here. Let's see here. Nav source. Oops, runway. 237. Perfect. Now why is he's still on? Oh, he never went direct. Okay, hold on. Let's just get this guy who synced with us here. So he should be from Gons to Wozy. There we go. That's a little better. Now you got a magenta line at least. Okay, and then 193. There we go. Set the course to 237. We must have landed on 27 in Boston because that inbound course to 271. There's 237. Set. Perfect. Okay. So that's set. And I think we're just about ready for a briefing. Okay, so again, pull up the charts here. What I might do actually before I do this is pull up the FMS over here. I kind of wish there was a way to make the charts always on top so I could show you everything all at once, but anyways. I'm going to pull them up on my tablet and then follow along here in the FMS. Because we need to verify everything in the FMS. So I wish I could do it the other way, because you could have the FMS on my tablet and have the charts up here to really show you, but I can't. So this is probably the most effective way for me to do this. Unfortunately, it's not the best for this presentation here. So we are doing the Verco 9 arrival today into Toronto. This is on page 10-2, Hotel 2, in effect the 9th of August 2019. The bold notes at the top of this chart, RNAV 1 DDI or GNSS is required. The rest of the notes are all pretty normal for Toronto with a non-jet arrival. And the waypoints on this arrival specifically for us for this transition: Wozy, Iston, Ling, Youth, max 220 knots, and between 10 and 8, I've got 10 in there. Then Bimpo, max 210 knots at 8,000. We go to Verco. Then we make a right turn. We go to Mayrod, Dekni, Davno, and Dunal, and then continue on the 057 course until we get vectored around to the ILS to runway 24 right. This is on page 11-8, in effect on the 8th of February 2019. It's INV 1093. So we got 1093 set both sides. Inbound course 237, I just set on both sides. Glide slope at NOAA is 1970. There it is. And the ILSDA 796, so we're going to set 800 on the MDA here. There it is, 800 is the MDA. The touchdown zone at 546, so we're going to make sure we set our landing field to about 500 feet, give or take there. Perfect. MSA is highest east of the field at 3,100 feet over the CN Tower. Missed approach is climb heading 237 to 1.5 INV. And then, which is the far end of the runway, and then at the left turn heading 189 and intercept the 189 radial to Petvo intersection and hold at 3,000. That's all in there. Radar RNAVs required. We got RNAV available. Taxiway Charlie, similar appearance. Don't land on Taxiway Charlie. 100 miles safe, 49. Simultaneous approach is authorized. 2-3. Local lab with only 10 degrees of center line. Procedure turn not authorized. Okay. That's it for the notes. It's a 3-degree glide path. We got Pappies on the left. Looks like a pretty VMC day out there, so I don't think we're going to need the approach lighting system too much today. And the minimum RVR is 5,000 a mile. Again, looks pretty VFR out there. I don't anticipate any issues with the weather. Terrain, again, 3,100 is the highest MSA. Weather is not an issue as far as we can tell. A bit of a gusty wind from the left. That's about the only issue we're going to have. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. And operational, I've got really nothing, just a lot of traffic. So we're going to have to keep an eye on our VATSIM window. I've got it over here on my other computer, and I'm keeping an eye on it because we got a couple of outbounds, but quite a few inbounds to Toronto. There's one guy following us here from Boston, but he looks like he's going to overtake us because he's in a 6-7. So he's going to probably overtake us in the next 10 minutes, and we're probably going to follow him in. So we got a bunch of people inbound and outbound. So we're just going to keep an eye out for the traffic. It's about the only major operational concern I have today. Otherwise, I think that's about it for my approach briefing. Fuel situation, again, we're going to check it again. We've checked it many times, but I think we're still good. We're showing about 5,000, just under 5,000 in the tanks. Performance, there it is. Yeah, just under 5,000 in the tanks. We're estimating just under 4,000 when we get there. We only need about 2,500 to go, 2,600 to go to London. So we got easily 1,000 pounds extra and then some. So we're looking pretty good in that respect. So I think we're doing pretty good here. Let's see if I remember. Aha, that's how you do set TCAS to above or below, because I'm going to put the TCAS on above, because this guy's going to overtake us soon. TCAS should be on there. Yeah, there's the range ring, so it is on there. I just set it to above now so we can see this guy as he overtakes us, hopefully. Alright. I can see Canada from here. We're almost home, guys. I can see Canada coming. Like I said, stay tuned to the end of the stream because we're going to go ahead and check out generate a new schedule for A Pilot's Life. Set up season 2. And I think it's going to be fun. Gonna kind of do it now instead of at the start of season 2 because I don't know what the schedule is going to look like. So part of what I had to decide when to stream is also making sure that I do have enough time to get the flight done. So if the first leg is a long leg, I don't want to start a stream and then have to terminate it right away because I don't have time to finish the leg. So we're going to do it today at the end of this flight. We're going to get our schedule for season 2. I feel like we're probably not going to change employers. I feel like I'm probably going to stick with Encore for one more season. Just a curiosity though. While we're waiting for our top of descent point here, which is another 30 miles, see who's offered me a job. WestJet has offered me a job with an hour salary of $16.08. That's not a bad place to work. The only problem being, if I scroll all the way, let's just take these ones off the table for a second to make it a little easier to find. If I scroll to the bottom of this list and go to WestJet, the biggest problem I have with WestJet at this point, as I was saying earlier, is that they are exclusively a 737 operator. I do not have a 737 in the P3D sim. They have a very good, expansive route network. It would definitely be a very interesting schedule. Would not be as repetitive as the Encore in and out regional flying. But all they operate is maxes. So they are kind of unless I actually end up getting the 37, they're kind of not going to happen. Jazz Aviation. That's one that might be a bit more intriguing. I think a more expansive route network than Encore, but still no, that's not what I meant to do. See, again, I want to right-click here. I really want to right-click here. I suggested this developer. They said they were going to work on it, so I'm hoping they're working on it when they come up with their next version. A simple thing, but it's how I always feel like it should be acting. So, Jazz. See, they have a very extensive route network. I don't believe all of this. They don't operate to South America, North America, or Europe, Asia. But across North America, they have very extensive route networks. A lot of Dash 8 operations within Canada, which would be a lot of fun, I think. And then a lot of RJ operations into the States. Mostly American operations. A lot more of the American operations are RJs. But they go to all sorts of places. They don't own 777s. I think some of this is cut and copying from the Air Canada schedule, and this is the trouble with the way some of these schedules are set up. Equipment gets switched at the last moment, and then it gets recorded in the scheduling system, and then it ends up looking like this airline operates. These aircraft, these are Air Canada airplanes. These are what Jazz operates, RJs and Dash 8s. So, Jazz would be an interesting one to work for. Do I want to change jobs now? $15.95 an hour. How much am I being paid right now? 13 something? $13.46. It's a pay increase. Oh, that's a choice. I'm going to think about this through the descent now. Do I want to change jobs and work for Jazz because they have a more extensive route network? I think I'll probably stick with Encore because what I was going to probably do with Encore was switch bases. And I was going to plan my flights out of Encore's other base. Where's Encore? So here's so they have their main base is in Calgary. I have a few West Coast airports, so I thought this might be interesting. Would be to do just a few West Coast airports now. Regina, Saskatoon, Edmonton. you know, so out of Calgary and go to a few different places. So as much as I think jazz would be interesting, because I definitely have a lot more destinations to go to, I think for now I'm going to keep it to Encore. I'll think about it though. By the end of this stream, I will have made up my mind what I want to do. All right, we're less than 2 minutes from top of drop, so we got to start focusing on the present now, not the future. Let's focus on the here and now. Let's go ahead and set 10,000 for our first descent altitude, and arm that VNav. Never did see that airplane going over top of us. Where is he now? Just check my VATSIM again. He's actually behind us very slightly. He hasn't caught us yet, but he's going to overtake us in the next couple of minutes here. Just for sake of interest, if I switch to the external view, Air Canada 5117, I have found you. You're probably going to outpace us in the descent, so I'm inclined to let him overtake us. Got to stay in the flight deck though, because I got to stay ready for this descent. Because the second it pitches over, I've got to get the power back right away, or it's going to be overspeeding as it is. I'll probably just knock a hair off the power right off the bat here, just to make sure we already have a margin. Working for jazz. That is thinking about it still. Top descent alert on the FMS. Thank you. Thinking about it still. Probably not going to do it. I think I'm going to stick with Encore for one more session, but I do like it. It's a very extensive company with a number of different bases, a lot more destinations than Encore, a lot more aircraft than Encore. I don't have the RJ though. The nice thing about Encore is I can stick with just the Dash 8, just Dash 8 flying, which is probably what I'm going to do. Here comes the vertical path there. Don't lose too much speed here yet. The one thing about this is a little bit weird, and this FMS is not totally accurate, is that it tends to, rather than locking in a descent rate right at the beginning, if the speed changes before the descent rate locks in, it'll change the descent rate. In the real airplane, it locks in the angle. Once you've picked an angle for your descent, so 3 degrees or 2.95 or whatever it happens to be to achieve your vertical speed, it locks in that angle. It doesn't even care if you change airspeed or vertical speed at that point. It locks in the angle specifically. It's a bit tougher, I think. It's a bit of a tougher calculation. That's probably why Majestic hasn't done it. And I'm not trying to be too critical, because VNav is a very challenging thing to program. Seeing all the people that have had all the difficulties programming VNav, it's not an easy thing to program. Alright, so we're leaving 23 for 10,000. Seem to be pretty stable here. Just going to keep an eye on the power. And we'll do a descent check. So fuel, we did check it in the briefing. Approach and landing briefing are complete. The cabin altitude controls are set for Toronto, 500 feet. And the cabin PA, I'll say, is complete. Descent check complete. Alright, there's Wozy, which is essentially Buffalo. It's a waypoint that's almost directly over the Buffalo VOR. We might actually see a bit of Niagara Falls. That's the Niagara River right down there. It's Lake Erie off the left. Buffalo is essentially right underneath us right now. There's downtown Buffalo right over there. Lots of rail lines in Buffalo. It's a very big rail town. I feel like I need a little bit of a... No, rudder's looking pretty good. And, across the screen there, the Welland Canal. You can actually... It's nice that we can actually see some scenery now, finally. No more just flying over the cloud deck all the time. Enjoy the view. This takes us pretty much right over Niagara Falls. I think you're going to see it just as this cloud scrolls away here. Falls behind us, you're going to see Niagara Falls under there. There we go, that's Niagara Falls right there. That's Goat Island. That's the Horseshoe Falls and the American Falls. Very nice. Looking very wintry out there. I think I do need just a little bit of trim. Don't stick. I think we all know what happens when the switch sticks. pretty good job maintaining our descent right there. Look outside. Hello. So that's Niagara Falls, and the water flows down to Lake Ontario there. So you can see there's a little bit of a gorge down there. Very nice. We're actually getting a little bit of a good view today. I'm a little bit shocked. Alright, let's check for Toronto weather one more time. 150, 10 gusting 18. Yeah, we're going to stick with 24 right, 3008 for the altimeter. So let's go ahead and set that now. 3008. And now it's going to pitch down a little bit. You see the VNAV path deviates now because we adjusted the altimeter. We're going to need to get that power back a little bit because it's going to pitch down and chase that VNAV path a little bit. There we go. Alright, and so we got transition 30081 to reset and cross check passing 18. Oh. There we go. All good. Oh, we're in the clouds. Quick, get the prop heat on. Too much sightseeing and not enough flying. There we go. Out the other side. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, so things we're going to do, we do need an arrival gate for Toronto, so let's just have a quick flip over to my dispatching system here, otherwise known as my laptop. And let's find us a gate for Encore 3603. Hey, FO, just keep an eye on the speed for me. Let me know if it's going to overspeed. Thanks, you're the best. Bravo 7, the gate. Bravo 7, so that's the gate we're going to use. Can this guy overtake us yet? He is just eking it behind us here. He's at 21,000. We're going to about 17,000. He is doing, he's doing about the same speed as us. I guess he's going to follow us in now. I don't know if he's seen us or not, but I guess he's going to follow us in. So we'll do our best to try and keep it fairly tight here so we don't delay this guy too much. I hate to be, you know, I hate to hold anybody back, so. It's supposed to be 220 knots at youth. Slow it up at youth, 220, and see what happens at that point. See if he overtakes us, he overtakes us, and I'm okay with that. We're on Unicom still. Oh, you know what? We're still on. There we go. Toronto traffic. Encore 3603 is descending through 14,000, about 40 miles south of Toronto on the Verco arrival, planning runway 24 right. Gonna have to slow down, start slowing down a little bit soon here. I might also do really quickly here a text, just to make sure we're in communication with this guy, whether he's text or not. Okay. Just snuggling that red line as much as possible, though. Oh, I see him on the TCAS now. He's definitely starting to catch up to us a little bit. Unfortunately, we're going to have to throw the brakes out here because of the procedure restrictions momentarily. Oh, and there's red line, so let's get this power back. Because we're pretty much going to have to get power back now anyways. We got about 7 miles to our speed restriction, and we're still doing 280 knots. I'm trying to keep it up as long as possible. I don't want to hold this guy back too much. I'm going to go ahead and set 8,000 for our next altitude. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and bring it back to idle. get this plane slowed up to 220 by youth. Hopefully this guy's communicating. Maybe he just... It seemed like he slowed down very early on the descent. So I thought maybe he was trying to stay behind us, but maybe he just isn't even aware of us because he has not responded on either text or voice. Maybe he's not monitoring Unicom. Alright, so it is slowing down now. It is slowing down now. For the 220. So we're going to go ahead and just do 10,000. There's 220 knots. It seems like this guy is trying to stay behind us. It's the way it seems anyways. Alright, so there's our 220 knots, give or take a couple of knots, definitely within tolerance. Alright, and let's read the approach check. Yeah. That's what I gotta do as well. This, and... yeah, that. Okay, approach checklist. Altimeters. So we got 30081, 2, and 3 set. Nav aids. Beautiful VFR day, Toronto. We're going to say not applicable today. Fuel transfer is off, and the tank aux pumps are on. GPWS landing flap 15 selected. Hide quantity. All checks. Caution and warning lights are checked. Seatbelts are on. Lights are on, and cabin secure will complete the approach check. Alright. It seems like this guy is trying to stay behind us. Okay, well, that's really nice of him. I thought he was going to overtake us. I was going to let him overtake us. I was fine with that, but... Okay, we will do our best to keep the speed up here into Toronto. Stay ahead of this traffic. I'll make another position call at Virgo as we join the downwind. Here's downtown Toronto. That's 9 descending 8,000. Gotta be 210 knots over Pimpo. I feel like he's catching up to us slowly but surely. Well, we're going to fly the procedure. If he starts the procedure as well, then he should be slowing to 210 as well now as he gets to Pimpo. So that'll keep the sequence. Or if he's programmed it correctly as well in his FMS. One thing we can do while we're looking at the airport here, while we're waiting for the next restriction, is go ahead and set up the gate. It should be Alpha 7. Nope. No, maybe it's Bravo 7. Bravo 7. Too small. Okay, Bravo. Bravo 8. Yeah, Bravo 8. Okay. Done. And this guy's falling behind us, so he definitely put the brakes out there, which is good. Alt star. We need to put the brakes out as well, because we need to be 210 knots over Pimpo. Oh, that's a little better. Just makes it possible to take this turn at a reasonable speed. Make sure everybody who's on this downwind is doing the same thing here. Alt. Alright, here comes the turn. We're going to go ahead and set 4,000 now for the next altitude. And by the time we level off at 4,000, we can turn base, hopefully. So, 4,000 VS minus 1,500. Toronto traffic, Encore 3603 is joining a left downwind for runway 24 right. Set this around to the 057 heading. I see you, Toronto. You might as well stay loaded because I'm going to keep on asking you for more things here. I'm going to keep looking at you. So you might as well stay loaded. Alright, looks like this guy is going to stay behind us, which is good. Wish you could communicate a bit on Unicom. That would also make things easier. Alright, cabin secure, we'll say they called and said cabin secure as we go down the downwind here. Weird, there's a couple of night textures showing through there. That's weird. Oh, I hate when that happens. Recently upgraded to version 4.5. So I wonder if that's what's causing some of these textures in weird places. Okay, so we're beam Noah. I don't know where the other guy went. We're going to start a crosswind turn here, or a base turn here shortly. It looks so weird that there's lights in those valleys. Alright, that's 5 descending 4. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and go into heading mode. Go left turn, 330, it's a little bit too far. Let's go down to 3000. Join final. Just do BS minus 1000 is fine. And then we can sequence the waypoints from Ebdal inbound. That's 4 descending 3. Oh, didn't mean to do that, but that's easier actually. From Ebdal should be the same, 22. There we go, close that. Night texture is showing through. Oh, my scenery was looking really good before too. I've noticed that in a couple of spots now, so seems to be parkland or something maybe. Ah, that's annoying. Ruins perfectly good scenery. Alt star. We need a heading of about 270 here for the intercept. Source ILS1, ILS2. And Loke's alive, so let's go ahead and arm approach mode. Loke, glide slope is armed, looking good, looking good. Alright, let's go high pumps on. Let's do flap 5. There it goes. And the FA notification, cabin crew, please be seated for landing. I don't know where this guy went. I hope he's not going to land on 15 right without talking to anybody ever. Oh, yeah, that looks like exactly what he's doing. And there's glide slope, go around altitude of 3000 is set. Toronto traffic, Encore 3603 is on final runway 24 right. Alright, and I don't hear anybody else talking. I haven't seen any messages on Unicom lately, so we're going to go ahead and put the fax light on and say I'm cleared to land. That's disregard the missed approach altitude is set. Let's just center that rudder trim just a little bit more. Yeah, it might have been too far, or it might be okay. Yeah, it was a little bit too far. Darn sticky switches. Alright. Let's go ahead, gear down. Three green, flap 15. And let's go reduced NP, condition levers max. Alright. And the landing check. Alright, landing check. Stand by, height press P2 controller on, landing gears down 3 green, flap is 15 set, indicating, and condition levers are max. Ice protection is, we could just go to standard, turn off the prop heat. Leader 1 and 2 is min and on, and the FA notification is PA. Landing check is complete. Cleared to land, I say. Clear myself to land anyways. And the landing checklist is complete. Just need to get the speed back now to our ref of 123.
1,000.
Now it's going to pitch up a little bit to chase the glide slope as we decelerate, because it doesn't react very quickly when this sort of thing happens. That was visual anyways at 1,000. And this should be set to 237. Okay, so go around. There it is, 237. Alright. Get some power back in there. Let's hold just above ref. We got a good crosswind from the left happening here. Stable. Get a little bit high on the slope. Pull off the power just a little bit. Disengage the autopilot. See if we can't get back on slope and on the center line here. Don't go down too much. Whoa.
50, 30, 20.
That was horrible. Now we're just floating down the runway forever. Oh, that was horrible. Oh, that was horrible. That was terrible. That was terrible. But what are you going to do? We're here. The wheels didn't fall off the airplane, so that's a good sign. Let's get rid of this thing here. Take the next high speed on the right. The slideshow that is Toronto does not help either. All of my reactions are lagged by the slideshow. That was horrible. That was a terrible landing. Alright. Let's clear the runway anyways, and then we'll deal with the aftermath. Okay, come on, you can load. Toronto traffic, Encore 3603 is clear, runway 24 right, taxiing to gate Bravo 8. Before we do that, let's just quickly, after landing, flow. Alright, so we'll clear the runway.
Toronto traffic, west jet 2790, line up 1, runway 15 left.
Encore 3603, we'll hold short 15 left. Alright, so we need to do flaps up, control locks on.
Pearson traffic, Air Canada 5117 heavy, 10 mile final 15 right, Pearson range.
And I think we got almost everything now. We'll do the after landing checklist once we just turn onto this taxiway. So what we'll do is we'll head up Echo. Wait for the traffic. I did kill the strobe light, right? Yes, I did. Okay, well, that was definitely not the best landing I've ever done. Crosswind was not helping, nor was the slideshow, but anyways. After landing checklist, radar is off, transponder staying on, alt, flaps 0, control locks on, tank ox pumps off, yaw damper is, I got that one, off. Flight taxi is taxi. Anti-collision is red. All the lights are as required. Ice protection is all off except for the windshield heat. Actually, no, it's not. There it is. And main bus tied. APU is going to stay off after landing checklist is complete. I see WestJet up there. So we're going to go up to either Sierra or Romeo. I think Romeo. We're going to plan across 24 or 15 right, and then we'll see where the Air Canada on final is. Wow, this frame rate is just dying here.
Toronto traffic, West Route, 2790, airborne.
Still looking out there to see if I can see this aircraft. It's supposed to be on final. Alright, this should be Sierra, and we want to cross at... Yeah, no, actually I think we want to cross here at Sierra, so we're going to leave that. Actually, we're going pretty fast there. Maybe we weren't going that fast. Just hard to tell sometimes when it's only a couple frames. Oh, was the Air Canada on final for 15 right or 15 left? And Toronto traffic, Encore 3603, holding short of 15 left. Air Canada, were you going to land on 15 left or right?
Short final 15 right, Air Canada 5117 Toronto.
Thank you very much. Encore 3603, crossing 15 left. Alright, so he is there. That's fine. He's not on final this runway. The WestJet already took off. Still putting the strobes on anyways to cross the runway. Yeah, I think he did say 15 right. I just don't even remember, to be honest. Wow. What is going on with this frame rate here? Oh my god. Dying. Oh, FlyTampa, I love your scenery, but boy, it kills me here. I need a new computer this year. Or at least maybe a new processor, maybe. Because it is the processor that gets maxed out more than anything. It's not the memory, I don't think, and I don't think it's definitely not the hard drives holding it back. I'm pretty sure it is the processor these days. Alright, a quick check of my sim brief charts, because we're going to gate Bravo 8, I'm pretty sure is on the north side of the building here. Let's just pull up my gate chart here, and 8 should be, yep, in the corner on the north side. So we're going to go continue across Alpha into the apron. As we start to put some of the terminals behind us, the frame rate improved a little bit. There's just so much going on at this airport. It's a wonderful building. It's a wonderful scenery. So much detail. But that detail is a double-edged sword in the simulator, especially when you don't have a high-end processor, high-end power. I'm hoping that my commentary more than makes up for the lack of my computer's ability here. Alright, so it should be over here up ahead in the corner, I think. Sorry, just looking at the chart again here. And it's one of these ones up here. I think I see a whole bunch of baggage carts and stuff up there, so I think that's Bravo 10 in the corner there. Bravo 8 and 9 are up here. That's Bravo 9, so the next one here must be Bravo 8. Alright, so we're going to say marshallers in sight, taxi light off, dome light not required. It's nice to fly during the daytime sometimes. It's so much easier to find the switches, that's for sure. In the real airplane, you know where the switches are by feel as much as anything else, and that's why they make the landing lights switches feel different too. But in the sim, it's a struggle sometimes to find the right switches in the dark. Alright, we're coming, buddy. We're coming around. That says stop, and he says keep going. She, I guess. Alright, and... Oop, parking brake. Alright. High pumps norm, that's the parking brake. And... bleeds off. Thank you. We can go 1, 2, 3. And then we can call for the GPU. Start the timer. Nose wheel steering's off. Seatbelt's off. Alright, and the shutdown checklist. Taxi light is off. Transponder is standing by. Emergency brake is on. High pumps are norm. Power levers are disc. Condition levers are start feather. Nose steering is off. Seatbelts are off. Bleeder 1 and 2 is min and off. And external power APU. And this guy should have flicked this doohickey like that so I can see the electrical page. And external power is on. Condition levers, 30 seconds. Fuel off. Lights are as required. Standby, aux, and main batteries are off. Battery master's off. I parked a bit far and to the right. That's fine. And let's see here. Where am I here? Sorry. Battery master's off. Emergency brake off. iPad airplane mode. That's it. We are done, ladies and gentlemen. Season 1, my first month schedule here on A Pilot's Life is done. Let's go ahead and open that door. Let's go ahead and bring that bridge over. Is it only a... So it does not like to operate sometimes. That's fine. And that's it. And request boarding. And that's it. We're done. Just got to get this docked here. But otherwise, take that off track IR for a second. And I think we are done. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm beginning to wonder if it would ever happen. Because it definitely took a while. But current flight and flight, we made it. That was it. It was not the prettiest landing at the end of the day, but we made it. Less than 50 feet per minute according to this, though. Pretty good. And we don't have a schedule. Shall we generate a schedule? Oh, it's exciting. It's been a while since I got to generate a schedule. Alright, so all airline hubs Calgary or Toronto. So, like I said, I am thinking, I want to see what happens if I generate a schedule with all airline hubs in here. So does it randomly assign me back and forth between Calgary and Toronto? Yeah, and that's kind of annoying. I kind of like the continuity of like operating out of one place. So Toronto, Boston, Boston, Halifax, Halifax back to Toronto. That's kind of a neat little thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did 10 flights again, and then it ends. I guess it maxes out at 10, so it ends then this one at Edmonton because there's a 3-legger in here. It's not in all even turns. So when you end at a base, I'm just kind of I'm trying to understand how the schedule works here. See, and I kind of like that. That's kind of neat having a not just a turn, but actually a continuation, a 3-leg triangle here: Toronto, Boston, Boston, Halifax, Halifax, Toronto. But I want to see what kind of a schedule I'm going to get if I just use just Calgary as my hub here. So Kelowna, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Saskatoon, Kamloops. A little bit repetitive. I don't mind it. Kelowna's kind of a neat airport. It's a fun little airport to drop into. A little repetitive though, perhaps. So I might yeah. So I might hit regenerate here again. See what else we got. We got Regina, Abbotsford, Kelowna, Regina, Edmonton, Edmonton, Grand Prairie. Aha! See here, you got one of these. Calgary, Regina, Regina, Edmonton, Edmonton, Calgary, back to Edmonton, Calgary. See, and those are the kind of interesting things where it's not just always out and back. I might hit regenerate a couple more times and just see, because I want to take as much repetition out of the schedule as possible. So Calgary, Kelowna, Kelowna, Edmonton, Edmonton, Calgary. I like that. Calgary, Regina, Edmonton, Calgary. Fort St. John, Calgary, Kamloops. There's a few Edmontons in here. There's a little bit. I like this one though. This one I think is fairly not repetitive. I think we're gonna go with this. This will be season 2, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm just debating quickly with myself if it's worth it, but I think it is. Calgary, Kelowna, Kelowna, Edmonton, Edmonton, Calgary, Calgary, Regina, Regina, back to Edmonton to Calgary. See, I'm doing this triangle a couple of times here. Calgary, Fort St. John, Calgary, Kamloops, Calgary, Calgary, Saskatoon, Calgary. There's not too much repetition in here, though. I hit Edmonton a couple times because it's also like a secondary hub for Encore, but I like it. I think this is the one we're going to take. None of these are particularly long flights, nothing like the Myrtle Beaches. Yeah, what the heck, let's do it. Schedule accepted. I have my next schedule, Season 2, so stay tuned for that. And a quick update of the dashboard just to see how it looks. We haven't been paid anymore. We got 26 experience points. We're just a little over halfway to our first officer ranking here. 10 flights to 5 different airports. 17 hours in the logbook now. Pretty neat. But I'm pretty happy with this. So I think I'm gonna call it a day there. I'm gonna say that this has been the whole stream. Guys, thank you so much for watching on Twitch, on YouTube, however you choose to watch. It's appreciated no matter where you come in and do it. I hope you enjoyed this. This has been an interesting challenge. It's definitely something different from what I've been doing in the past. A little more organized, a little bit more focus on what we're doing in terms of flying to different aircraft. I thought we requested deboarding here. Nobody wants to deboard, that's fine. I don't even see the baggage trucks. I don't know what they're waiting for. I swear the luggage trucks were here. And now they're not. Anyways. Regardless, yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching Season 1 of A Pilot's Life, my Twitch streams here. We're definitely going to continue with Season 2 when I get the chance here. It's maybe before the end of the year, but probably next year, so I hope everyone has a very happy, safe holiday season. I hope you get to spend some time with the people that you love, and I hope you get to spend some time doing the things you love, including probably flying a little bit on the VATSIM network, I hope. But in the meantime, everyone take care, have a safe, happy holiday season. If I don't get a chance to stream before it, Happy New Year to everyone, and we will see you all real soon.